Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Water crisis, Rio Cobre pollution affecting NWC customers. Leave entitlements for teachers again under scrutiny. And later in sports, double Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah continues quest for Commonwealth title. I'm Kelisha Williams and here are the details. A water crisis is looming in St. Catherine following the contamination of the Rio Cobre. It comes as communities several miles away suffer from a severe water shortage as the Spanish Town water treatment plant remains closed. A stream of problems. Contamination of the Rio Cobre over the weekend, leading to a fish kill and protests. Now, miles away from the pollution, in Willowdene, St. Catherine, taps and tanks are running dry.
No water at all since Friday. And the tanks that we have are bone dry. We have to be buying water and the long lines. We have to be standing up. Especially, I walk with a cane, and I have to stand on these long lines to get water.
Can't cope with the water pressure extra low, way down, below margin, and we get to understand so the river polluted and the fish are dead and all them things. So it don't really take place in a surrounding here right now.
Residents of Willowdene are among thousands of people in the parish who depend on the Rio Cobre for water. The river is the main source of water for the Spanish Town treatment plant. So when the river was affected by effluent from bauxite company Windalco, the National Water Commission had to shut down the plant to protect residents.
But I'm not blaming the National Water Commission because they are doing their best that we do not get contaminated or any health risks to us. What I'm totally upset about is that this pervasive situation with Windalco has been ongoing. It's been a long time situation that needs to be addressed.
As they wait for the plant to reopen, residents have resorted to buying water for domestic purposes.
My neighbor yesterday had to get a truck to get some water at her place. The reason why I survive a little is because I have a tank and I have some drum on the outside that catch rainwater.
TVJ News was informed that if the chemical spill subsides, residents could get water in their pipes as soon as Thursday. With back-to-school plans in full swing, a former prime minister is speaking out against the leave entitlements of teachers. Bruce Golding is also urging the government and opposition to build consensus around education and other areas of national importance. Andrea Chisholm reports.
The education sector has been under pressure. Learning loss due to the COVID-19 pandemic, plus a damning report from Orlando Pattison pointing to a number of students not being able to read and write when they leave primary school. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, and the Education Ministry has also been fussing about vacation leave. Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding has observed the dispute.
The Jamaica Teachers Association is the most powerful pressure group in the country. They know how to play off government and opposition against each other. Their ultimate weapon is to all fall sick on the same day. Performance pay is resisted. Certification requirements are resisted. Schools are closed for 13 weeks out of the year. The children are sent home. So too are the teachers. Yet the teachers are entitled to 4 months vacation leave after 5 years of service.
Mr. Golding questioned if businesses could afford paying employees to stay home for a lengthy period and formed this conclusion.
If government and opposition are not prepared to get together to face down these institutional resistance to change and reform, they're going to continue to not only run rings around us, they're going to run rings around the future of the children.
To this end, he welcomed the Oversight Committee chaired by Dr. Adrian Stokes to monitor the implementation of recommendations made in the Pattison report. Turning to the economy, Mr. Golding described Jamaica as a house with family members taking shelter during a hurricane.
The private sector also occupies that house. And it cannot be seen to be only concerned with the bedroom that it occupies, because that bedroom will be of no use if the house collapses. Recently, some elements in the private sector have lambasted the Bank of Jamaica for raising interest rates. Leave interest rates alone, they say. Now, what is to be done with inflation? Run with it?
The BOJ has increased interest rates to 5.5% to control inflation, which was 10.9% as at June 2022. Consumers are therefore grappling with the rising cost of living.
It provides political opportunities, and the temptation will be there to kick up a rumpus and destabilize the program. Times of instability like this one inevitably undermine business and consumer confidence. We don't need to worsen that by fertilizing doubt as to whether we're on the right track and whether we should change course. Both the government and opposition have a crucial responsibility. If ever there was a time to huddle, confide in each other, reaffirm and strengthen the consensus, it is now.
Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
The St. James Police have arrested 26-year-old Ashani James, otherwise called Sean, who was a person of interest for a number of crimes, including murder in the parish. During an intelligence-led operation this morning, James's house was searched, where 26 lead sheets, 1 composite notebook, and 7 cell phones with names, addresses, telephone numbers, and credit card information were found. He was arrested on reasonable suspicion of breaches of the Law Reform Fraudulent Transactions Act and taken to the Montego Bay Police Station, where he was interviewed and admitted to having an illegal firearm. The firearm, loaded with 3 live 9mm cartridges and 3 spent casings, was found in a vegetated area. James was wanted by the police for shooting with intent, assault at common law, and illegal possession of firearm, and was a person of interest in the murder of LeVarbia Clayton, otherwise called Rasta, in May 2020. A murder he confessed to during his interview with the police on Wednesday. The police are keeping a close watch on Central Village in St. Catherine following the killing of an unidentified man and the destruction of 4 houses by fire yesterday afternoon. A woman was also shot and injured during the attacks on Little Lane. It's believed that both incidents are linked. Commanding officer for the St. Catherine South Police, Senior Superintendent Christopher Phillips, said about 4:30, men from neighboring Zion Lane went to Little Lane, where they shot the man and woman. Shortly after, the houses were seen on fire. And it's time now for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News, and thanks for staying with us. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, is this afternoon calling for the Ministry of Health to focus its attention on manufacturers in its fight against unhealthy food and drinks in schools. The pressure is coming from JTA President Winston Smith, who wants manufacturers to cease production of the items and supply healthier options. Codian Barrett reports.
During the first in a series of consultations on the National School Nutrition Policy Green Paper held at the Mergrove High School in St. Andrew last Tuesday, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton urged school administrators to take responsibility for ensuring that unhealthy foods and drinks are not entering the school system. However, the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association pointed to the ban on sugary drinks adopted by school administrators. He argued that the efforts failed because vendors continued to sell the beverages outside school gates. He further noted that an adequate supply of healthier choices was lacking.
Our children need to be fed food with nutritional content. Let us all decide that we are all going to manufacture these kind of a product. Then whether it is vendor, school, shop, wholesale, supermarket, you'll all be able to get from the same thing, which means that the quality that you desire would be all across the country.
President of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Linvern Wright, argued that the proposed national school nutrition policy should be developed for the wider population. Mr. Wright agrees that school administrators can help in enforcing the policy. However, he says their powers are limited.
Eating is not just what happens at school, it's what happens in the homes, it's what's available to people. And you will have a very healthy policy for nutrition in school. And children save their money because there's KFC out there. There are burgers out there. There are people selling the sweet drinks out there. When you as a school hold off, I know schools suffer from that kind of thing.
In the meantime, the JTA president says families in Jamaica need to be more financially empowered to make better nutritional choices. Mr. Smith blamed limited resources on persons being unable to adopt healthy eating habits.
So what I want to see the government do is to look at how we're going to develop our economy and ensure that our people are able to afford the kind of food that we have. And at the same time, promote the idea, because I like the idea that Mr. Tufton promoted when he was Minister of Agriculture, to say eat what we grow and grow what we eat and get our people to start getting more productive.
Both men were speaking this morning on the Morning Agenda on Power 106. Cody Ann Barrett, TVJ News.
It's now time for a peek in the economy. Here's Cody Ann Barrett with the Business Minute.
The Business Minute, brought to you by
Business Smarter with Smart Mobile Solutions, Jamaica's one-stop shop for the best mobile technology services.
In the world of business, the Jamaica Stock Exchange Group, JSEG, recorded net profits after tax of $144 million, which was 24% above the corresponding quarter in 2021. The JSE said it believes that despite the geopolitical unrest, which will undoubtedly have some impact on the economy, it does not expect that this will significantly affect income due to its successful diversification strategies. News now in oil. The world's biggest oil producers have agreed to raise production slightly in a bid to help ease high prices. Members of oil producers group OPEC Plus, which includes Russia, agreed on Wednesday to add 100,000 more barrels per day to the market from September. The latest production output increase is at a much slower pace than in recent months. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
The Business Minute, brought to you by
Business Smarter with Smart Mobile Solutions, Jamaica's one-stop shop for the best mobile technology services.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In this evening's Health Report, we'll look at overhydration.
So when you are thinking about hydration, we not only think about liquids, we think about our Jamaican seasonal fruits. So like the watermelon, we think about five finger or jimbalin. We think about apple or Tahiti apple. These are fruits that we can consume, and also vegetables like cucumber, our lettuce, those greens can also provide some of the water or hydration we need.
That's the Health Report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Don't wait until you're thirsty to drink. Eat water-rich fruits and vegetables. Stay inside when the time gets too hot, and be aware of the signs of dehydration.
Time now for the top regional and international stories with Sandy Williams.
In regional news, in the Bahamas, the body of a child clad only in an underwear was found in a pond near the Oaksfield Sports Center Golf Academy on Tuesday. The police said they believe the child had been there for at least 24 hours. He is one of 3 persons who reportedly drowned on Tuesday. Police Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings told reporters that they had received a report late on Tuesday regarding the discovery of the body. She added that the body appears to be that of a child within the ages of 10 to 12. The police said that they are trying to determine the identity of the child and that prior to the discovery, they had not received any reports pertaining to a missing child. On the international scene, The conservative U.S. state of Kansas has decided in a referendum to protect abortion rights in a major victory for pro-choice groups. Voters overwhelmingly said they did not wish to amend the state constitution to assert there is no right to abortion. It was the first electoral test of the issue since the U.S. Supreme Court allowed states to ban the procedure. If the ballot had gone the other way, lawmakers could have moved to further restrict or ban abortion in Kansas. The ballot question in Kansas had been hotly anticipated since the U.S. Supreme Court 2 months ago overturned Roe v. Wade, the 1973 ruling that legalized abortion nationwide. Projections suggest Kansans voted more than 60% to uphold the state's constitutional right for women to access abortion. However, the official result will be confirmed in a week. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we head to a quick break now. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report. Jordan Fort is standing by.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. National junior champion Rashawn Clark and compatriot Antonio Forbes both secured wins to advance in the men's 400-meter hurdles at the World Under-20 Championships in Cali, Colombia today. Clark clocked 50.71 seconds to win his heat, while Forbes won his heat in 52.45 to join him in the semi-finals. And Brian Lavelle finished third in his heat of the 200 meters in 20.85 seconds to advance to the semi-finals of the half-lap event. In the meantime, a decision is expected today as to whether Sandra Davison will be fit to contest the 4x100 meters at the World Under-20 Championships in Cali, Colombia. Davison didn't contest his heat of the 200 meters this morning after pulling up in the semis of the 100 yesterday, clutching his hamstring. The final of the 4x100 meters is set for Friday at 6 p.m. All three of Jamaica's men have made progress to the semi-finals of the 400 meters at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, England, following the heats this morning. Nathan Allen was the fastest of the qualifiers, clocking 45.17 seconds to win his heat, while Anthony Cox also won his heat, clocking 45.51 seconds to make progress. Javon Powell joins them in the semis after his 46.14 seconds clocking for second in his heat. Earlier, Janelle Bromfield was a second-place finisher in her heat to make it through to the semi-finals of the women's equivalent in 52.04 seconds. Bromfield will be the only Jamaican in the semis of the event, however, after Ronisha McGregor missed out following her 53.28 seconds clocking for fifth in her heat, while Tiffany James Rose did not start in her heat. And the national 800-meter record holder Navaski Anderson will feature in the final of that event after finishing in third in his heat in 1 minute 47.79 seconds. Anderson made it through as one of two non-automatic qualifiers. And double Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herro will continue her quest for the Commonwealth Games title when she goes in semi-final 2 of the women's 100 meters at 1:43 this afternoon, Jamaica time. Compatriots Ramona Burchell and Natalia White will go in semi-finals 1 and 3 respectively at 1:35 and 1:51 p.m. Before that, Conroy Jones will line up in semi-final 1 of the men's equivalent at 1:10 p.m. and Kemar Bailey Cole goes in semi-final 2 at 1:18 p.m. And Danielle Thomas Dodd will look to retain her title when she goes in the final of the women's shot put starting at 2:05 p.m. She's joined by compatriot Lloydrisa Cameron in the event. Romain Beckford will be the first Jamaican in action in the afternoon session as he goes in the men's high jump final starting at 1 p.m. Jamaica time. Waterhouse FC were beaten 6-0 in their second leg preliminary round CONCACAF League contest by Canadian team Pacific at the Starlight Stadium in Canada on Tuesday evening. Alejandro Diaz netted a hat-trick, Joshua Hurd had a double while Marco Bustos was on the score sheet to swamp the Waterhouse team and knock them out of the competition. Diaz opened the scoring in the 13th minute before Bustos made it 2-0 heading into the halftime break with his 41st minute strike. Diaz was again on the score sheet in the 54th minute before Joshua Hurd quickly made it 4-0 2 minutes later. Hurd got his second in the 61st before Diaz finished off the assault and completed his hat-trick in the 73rd minute. Waterhouse also missed a couple of chances to get on the score sheet at 4-love and 5-love down. The first leg ended in a goalless draw at Sabina Park. And that's it for your midday sports report. Kalisha?
Thanks, Jordan. And that's the Midday News. I'm Kalisha Williams. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.